Am I the asshole for holding my toddler throughout an event she wasn't enjoying? I, 25M, recently went to a fall fair with my wife Sarah, 26F, and our 1-year-old daughter Viola. Viola is only about 14 months, so she doesn't really know how to play with other kids quite yet, and we're obviously still working on her speech. She's coming along, but just seems to have a quieter personality. When we arrived at the fair, Viola was not having it. She wanted to bury her face into my shoulder and cling to me for dear life. I tried to get her to participate in some activities, but she was fussy and not interested. I knew that pushing would make her more upset and risk a very public meltdown, so I decided to let it go. This did not go over well with Sarah. She was mad about Viola being in my arms because she needs to learn to socialize, and I was letting her be a daddy's girl, and not teaching her to face her fears. Sarah says I was coddling Viola too much. Am I the asshole for holding my toddler during an event she wasn't enjoying? Dude, she is freaking 14-month-old. Face her fears? Kid barely walks and talks. All that would have done was stress her out and teach her that mommy and daddy won't protect her. She needs to make these choices on her own time, and when she does, you just encourage her. Socialize. She's 14 months old. Babies don't even get serious about parallel play until around 18 months, and it's perfectly normal for a 3-year-old to barely notice other children. Your wife is expecting too much of a 14-month-old. Burying her face in a parent's shoulder and being stressed out in a crowd is developmentally appropriate at 14 months. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. Your wife needs to adjust her expectations of a 14-month-old. That environment is super stimulating, and even looking around in your arms is a lot for a kid that young to take in. 1-year-olds don't socialize, especially not in crowds. My daughter is 3.5, and she and her peers are just now really starting to play together. Not the asshole with the world, she's barely 1. I mean, what was she expected to do? Continue to be her safe space, and remember you only get a short time of this. Viola was my grandma's name. Vi for short. Redheart, I've never met another Viola, and thus made me happy. Not the asshole, she's literally 1 year old. Hold her while you can, someday you'll put her down and not pick her back up. Savor it. Cherish it. Let her be a daddy's girl. Love. A daddy's girl. So not the asshole. You are a fantastic dad for recognizing your daughter's feelings and making her feel safe. Your wife, on the other hand, needs to read some modern-day parenting books. She sounds like a boomer. You're not getting up from this table until you eat your veggies, parent. There is no such thing as coddling a 1-year-old too much. She will let you know when she feels confident enough to explore the world. You did everything right, including, sadly, protecting her from her mom's misguided parenting. Wibda, if I stopped visiting my mom with my newborn? My daughter is just over 2 months old now. In the beginning, when I was still recovering and couldn't drive, my mom was coming over regularly, which I really appreciated. But over the past month, my mom has stopped visiting and now expects me to go to her instead because I live too far, even though I'm only about 20 minutes away. She's currently off work, so she's free all day. She even said before that coming out here feels like a little vacation because it's quieter than the city since I live in a small town with cute little shops. My home is clean, cozy, and always stocked with snacks and food, so I don't really see a reason why she wouldn't feel comfortable visiting. This past week alone, I've gone over 5 times. If I don't go over, she starts getting upset saying that I'm withholding my baby from her. Today, she asked again when I'd be coming, and I told her to come by instead since it's just easier for me right now since packing everything for the baby and the dog can be a lot, and she doesn't have to deal with that when she visits. Plus my dog has a yard here to run around in, which helps too, and they don't have a yard. I don't mind visiting, but it would really mean a lot if she came by occasionally. Even just having her here, while I do a few things around the house, would be so helpful. I did mention that as well. She also tends to avoid coming over when my husband is home because she worries about being a burden, even though I've reassured her many times that she's not. Right now, he works afternoons and isn't home after 2 p.m. She knows that and still doesn't want to come. My dad even offered to drive her and pick her up after a few hours today, but she still said no. I love that she wants to spend time with us, and I'm really trying to make things work, but I just wish it felt a bit more balanced. Wibda, if I stopped bringing my daughter over until she decides to stop by. It is absolutely, totally unreasonable for you to pack up and travel with the baby to visit her even once a week, let alone 5 times in 1 week. The whole, You are withholding the baby from me. Bit is manipulative and childish. Yes, you should just refuse to bring your daughter over there, unless she is visiting in your home at least twice as much as you visit there. Not the asshole. You need to establish boundaries. Seeing her 5 times a week with you doing all the driving is unreasonable. Remember, the road runs both ways. Pick a day or 2 you will visit, and tell her if she wants to see you more she needs to come to you. Not the asshole. If she wants to visit her grandkid, she comes over. I practically did not leave my house for 6 months postpartum due to how hard it is with a kid. My mom came every day to help. You're going to run yourself ragged if you pack up an infant and a dog and drive to hers 5 days a week. You're still recovering and figuring out motherhood, and she's being really selfish asking you to do all the work so she can get her way. Maybe set up a schedule to see each other once a week and alternate weeks at each other's homes. All I hear from her side is me, me, and me. You need to establish boundaries now, or you'll end up in a bad place. Not the asshole. Not the asshole, and you need to establish some serious boundaries. I have a feeling that the real reason she avoids coming over when your husband is home is because he'll call her out on her bad behavior. Not the asshole. It's easier for her to bring herself than to expect you to load up Bab 6 and dog and supplies to visit her. Tell her no. Am I the asshole for telling my in-laws to accommodate my disability? Hi, I don't really know how to make posts on here because it's my first time on Reddit, but hello. Also, English isn't my first language, so I'm sorry for any mistakes. For context, me and my wife have been married for 6 years now, and midway I suffered from a crash that both me and my cousin were involved in, though it was me who had the most injury. As a result, I'm completely paralyzed waist down. I guess for more info, technically my hip/upper thigh area is still mobile, so I can crawl around, but my legs further than that are completely paralyzed. This crash also happened 1.5 years after our marriage, maybe 2 years after, but I haven't kept track exactly. Anyway, my in-laws had helped a lot initially. They were very empathetic to my situation and heartbroken when everything happened, and were there for me and my wife when we needed it. Since it's been over 3 years since the crash, I've been accustomed to going around in a wheelchair and sometimes crutches, if that's what they're called. While they were very helpful initially, I feel like it's died down these past months, like 6-7, like while they are aware of my disability, they don't give me any additional support or help, which, on one hand I understand might mean that they believe I should navigate some things myself to build resilience and independence, but on the other hand, I feel like is just uncaring and inconsiderate. For example, they don't help me get up the stairs of my wife's family's house anymore. They have 3 steps up to the door, and they do have a wooden railing, which makes it easier, but it's still hard on a wheelchair, and they don't really give me a hand anymore. They did help me with physical therapy initially, which I didn't expect of hem BTW, but that's also stopped. They also make jokes about my disability sometimes, like me not being able to run, which does dig into my insecurities, but I understand that jokes are just jokes sometimes. Anyway, I did speak up about this one day when I was struggling on the stairs, and they just laughed it off, so I think they thought I was joking? I don't know. I really don't want to make them look like bad people, because they're very nice and supportive to me and my wife, but I simply don't understand why they aren't more accommodating to me. Like, am I an asshole to expect that? Also, I don't know my biological parents, but after adulthood, my foster parents and I grew apart, so I don't expect anything from them, but because I know my wife's family closely, I did expect this, and I wonder if I'm the asshole for expecting it. Apparently, I'm the odd one out, but I think yes. The laughing at you and making fun of you is not okay. But you said you've been married for 6 years, and it happened about 2 years into your marriage. So 4 years ago. And it's only the last 6 months, or so that you feel like they've been helping less. So, they were physically supporting you for 3.5 years. Maybe it's just becoming really physically taxing on them. They are old enough to have a married kid. It might just be really physically hard. And helping you with physical therapy for 3.5 years. How often do you go to their house? Can you entertain at yours more often? They suck for the jokes. Easy. You suck because you haven't explained what kind of support and accommodations you want/need from them. If you've been getting up the stairs on your own, maybe they think you're working towards resilience and independence. There are plenty of people who don't know what to do/how to help/when to help, so if you haven't made those things clear, I think that bit is on you. I don't understand why your wife is still making plans to go over to a house you cannot access with you. Seems like you could handle this by saying, "Thanks for the invite, won't be possible. We could meet you here or out at a restaurant instead." Not the asshole, "Where is your wife in all of this?" Your in-laws are making fun of you, and your wife is doing nothing? Or even participating? Maybe try talking to her and tell her how you feel. Her parents suck. Not the asshole. You don't need to visit their home if it's not accessible to you and they refuse to help. Making jokes about it is shitty. Have you tried, "MIL/FIL, can you please help me up the stairs? I've been having a hard time lately." Or, "I know you're just being playful, but I don't find your comment funny. I'm already living with the stigma of being disabled. I would like my/your home to be a place where I feel safe and accepted." Your wife should also be the primary one helping you up the stairs, but assuming she's otherwise occupied, just ask. You should also let her know you don't appreciate her family's jokes, and you expect her support on this issue. Am I the asshole, or is the guy I met overreacting about a joke? I live in California. He's in Pennsylvania. He's a physician assistant student. I work in healthcare admin. We've been talking for over a month after we met on Bumble. Very long convos. We have similar values, want the same things, discussed kids and family, very attracted and open with each other, and we both think our bond is special. He's in school and can't afford flights. I can, so I have no issues doing the visiting and paying for the flights. I fly out to PA on Friday, no sleep. Booked a hotel. Before I even came out, he kept telling me how anxious he was, and I understand, because I used to have horrible anxiety, and I didn't want him to feel uncomfortable. So I kept telling him that there is no need to feel that way and that we're going to have a great time. I land in PA. Told him we'd meet at 7:30 p.m. while Ubering to the bar. I said, "Would you be upset if we had to meet up tomorrow or Sunday, since I'm very tired from the flight?" He says, "Are you serious?" I said, "Good thing I'm on my way. Wouldn't want you to be upset," face with tears of joy. It was a joke. This lasted 2 minutes max. Immediately tells me that's not funny. So I said that I would never not meet him and that I was sorry and not shooting to make him upset. I arrived. He said he needed some time to cool off. Thought that was a very big response. I start worrying and asked where he was, and he said in his car. He sent me his PIN. I found him, sat in the car, and he was in tears. I wiped his tears, told him how happy I was to see him, that I didn't want him upset, and that it was just a joke. He said it wasn't funny, and that how could I do that to someone who I knew had anxiety. I was honestly trying to make the situation a little less tense for him. I wanted us to have fun and just relax. He stops crying. His car was very clean, he looked amazing. I complimented him on both. He laughed. Then I asked if he wanted to go grab a drink, and he's like, "Not really. Not after I've been crying." My entire mood has literally shifted because of that, and I can't change how I feel now. So I said, "Do you want to just sit here for a second?" He says ick. I ask if he wants me to drive us to the park by the water. Asks if he wants us to get a bottle of wine and sit by the pool at the hotel. He said ick to all of my suggestions. So I ended up saying, "If you want to go home, that's fine. I'm not upset." And he said, "I think I just need to be alone right now." I got out of the car, walked towards the bar, and literally watched him drive off. I think at this point I really lost it. I flew halfway across the country to come see you, and all that mattered to you was a silly joke that had no basis in reality for him to leave? He then said, "Maybe we can do something tomorrow?" And I lost it. I said that I spent almost $1,000 to come see you, didn't sleep, we've talked over the phone for a month, and you are leaving and ruining our date night over a single solitary joke that had no basis in reality. Am I the asshole or is he? You are the asshole, sis. He told you he has big anxiety, and you decided to joke with him as he was nervously awaiting your arrival? Not a good look. This is one of those relationship posts that really shouldn't be on here. This guy has massive anxiety, such that a mild joke completely derailed your first in-person meeting. If you're serious about wanting to start a life together, then this is a horrible start. If this seems trivial to you, then you better buckle up because I'm sure it's not getting any easier. Either take this as a sign and move on or adjust your attitude and be more cautious and supportive. No verdict since you're asking completely the wrong question. Mild as possible, you are the asshole, but only because that would apply to anyone whose joke fell this flat. Non-assholes always read the room. This level of anxiety in someone who wants to become a physician's assistant does not bode well. I'm not in healthcare. Perhaps there are niche jobs that might work. You are the asshole. Icky did overreact, sure, but I think that was a pretty mean joke, for someone you supposedly care for and knew has anxiety. You are the asshole. He was clearly super nervous about meeting you, and the idea that you might be catfishing must have gone through his head when you made that joke, if nothing else. Plus, it kind of sounded like you were trying to get out of the date before you even arrived. Not a good look. You are the asshole. And why did you get mad at him for suggesting you meet up tomorrow when you originally asked him the same exact thing?